Hello quilting friends, my name is Pam Hultgren-Klein and I would like to welcome you to my sewing table. Today I would like to introduce all of you to my favorite quilting tool, the Easy Angle. The Easy Angle was invented by Sharon Hultgren, and you guessed it, Sharon is my mom. I've had many friends and colleagues and family members that have said, Pam, could you please do a tutorial reminding us how to use the Easy Angle? And so today we're going to do exactly that. Let's head to the cutting table.
Now that we're at the cutting table, I am going to be using 2.5-inch strips today to cut my half square triangles. When I think about half square triangles, I always think about the idea that the better the contrast, the better the outcome. So today I'm using my two favorite colors, navy blue and white. I like those the best. I'm going to take my 2.5-inch navy blue strip, the darker color, I'm going to lay it down on my cutting mat face up, and I'm going to actually use the line of the cutting mat to just kind of position it and know that it's kind of square on as I begin. Then I take my light fabric. In this case, I'm using white on white, which is absolutely my favorite thing. White on white is tricky because you have to be sure that you have the right side figured out. I'm going to put the right side of my light fabric together with the right side of my dark fabric. I'm going to line up the top edge of the strips, fabric strips, and the bottom edge. Make sure that that's all set. Now, one thing you will notice is that I've gone a little bit beyond the vertical line of the mat. That's pretty intentional because I love to start with a clean cut as I begin my first half square triangle. And if you look, I'm actually going to use my Easy Angle as a straight edge just for the moment. So we'll line it up like this, and I'm going to get out my cutter, and then I'll get a nice clean edge right there. Then we're ready to go, and we're ready to do our first half square triangle. Now, left-handed friends, the rules are a little different for you, bless your hearts. Anyway, Easy Angle, what we're going to do literally is turn the tool upside down so we read Easy Angle backwards. And then we'll lay the tool down on our fabric, and I remember that my strip is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to take the 2.5-inch spot on the ruler, and I'm going to push it all the way to the corner so that the 2.5 is highlighted in the corner. There's my little flat edge at the top. That's important. There's the vertical line lining up. I can even see 2.5 inch right there. I'm even at the bottom also, and I'm ready to cut that first diagonal line. So I'll hold it firmly with my right hand, and I'll get my rotary cutter, and I'm going to cut at the diagonal line, just like that. Okay, and now I have my first pair ready to sew into a half square triangle. Now, don't take those apart. Let's keep them together because they're ready to sew, just like that. I'm just going to push them up over here to the side so that they're ready for me in a few minutes. And here's the wonderful thing. Now I take my Easy Angle and I'm going to turn it like I'm turning the page of a book, okay? So what I mean by that is that my bottom right-hand corner is going to become my top left-hand corner. Use the diagonal line as your pivot and simply flip it up like that. And now we push this up to the edge again where we see 2.5 right there at the top because this is a 2.5-inch strip. I see 2.5 there. I see 2.5 there. And if you can see down here, this is where that little black flag becomes important. If that little black flag is hanging below the fabric line, that is perfect because that gives us our seam allowance and allows us to cut our Easy Angle half square triangles from the same fabric that we would cut a square from. So now I'll hold it firmly with my right hand. I'll come in and I'll cut at the vertical line like that. And I have another half square triangle all set to go. I'll add that to my pile that's ready for the sewing machine. Now all I do is take my easy angle and I flip it back again. Okay, so again on the diagonal line, I flip it back again, and I'm ready to cut the next easy angle. When our pile is all done, we take it right to the sewing machine and we begin sewing.
Now that we have cut all of our half square triangles, we're sitting at the sewing machine and we're ready to begin sewing them together. Before I begin, I want to do a double check and make sure that I have a true 1/4 inch seam. I actually use 2 different methods myself. I have checked, I use a 1/4 inch foot, which I know the edge of my foot is a 1/4 inch away from the needle itself. That's going to be a 1/4 inch. But I also have used a piece of blue painter's tape, which will also give me the 1/4 inch seam. That helps me to ensure that it's going to be right when it's done. Now I'm going to take all of the pieces, and this might seem interesting to you, but I'm going to take the pieces and I'm going to flip them over. And my reason for doing that is because I want to bring the point of my cut easy angle half square triangle into the feed dog first, not the blunt end. I want the point end first. Okay, so putting the point end first, I'm going to set it under the under the foot, bring my foot down, and at the spot where my needle is going to hit, I've got the 1/4 inch seam marked by my painter's tape and the edge of my foot. I have to hold my thread to start for me. And here we go. We'll get from one end to the other, and I can't wait for you to see how when I get to the other end, it's going to be right at that flat end of the triangle that was created by the easy angle. There it is. It ended up right there at that point. And then we get to do chain stitching, which to me saves so much time and thread. I love to chain stitch when I can. So I grab my next set. They still are right sides together because I never took them apart. And I'm just going to double check and make sure that they're all lined up correctly. I have the point, always point end first, and then we'll line it up right there, and we just keep going. Once again, I ended up right at that edge that I need to be at. We continue doing that with as many easy angles as you need to, and then you're ready for the ironing board. And now that I have my chain of easy angles, I'm going to get them cut apart. So trim that edge down real quickly and cut between them real carefully like that, and ready for the iron. When I go to iron, I do follow the principle of iron to the dark if I can. So I'm going to open them up like I'm opening the page of the book towards the dark, and then I'm going to push my seam opened like that carefully. And then one thing I like to do is I'll grab my next one and I'm going to lay it down right on top, and I'm going to push my dark fabric toward the seam like that, and it kind of continues to press the one underneath it as well. Once I have them pressed open, this is the time that I go after the dog ears. Some people try to do it before. Personally, I think it's easier to spot now. So I'm going to take my square and I'm just going to clip that dog ear and get it out of the way. And I will do this one the same, get it out of the way like that. And then I would love for you to notice this. Now that I've finished sewing my half square triangles using my easy angle, I can check it out, and when I measure it carefully, you will see that a half square triangle cut with an easy angle makes a perfect 2.5-inch square, which can be placed right next to the square that is 2.5 inches and be sewn together as if it were done in a much more difficult way. The easy angle truly is the easy way. So there we have it. Now, we just used our easy angle, and with our easy angle, we were able to cut multiple half square triangles. Once we had those sewn together, we could put them right beside the same size square, and eventually we end up with some type of a quilt, a wall hanging. This Amish star is actually one of my favorite, and I'm noticing squares and half square triangles are sitting side by side, all done with our easy angle. So friends, I hope you enjoyed our video, and I hope you find time to dust off your easy angle.